Hi folks, this is video number 138 and the title is The 3 Mile Bridge. Ryan and I were going to spring turkey hunt in the area to the left of the first bridge on the South Mountain Access Road at the southern end of Windy Valley. This road started at what was once the first access gate to Game Lands 57. For the history buffs, the parking lot there was once the home location of one of the Game Commission's original land managers. His name was George Sprankle. He was in charge of the upkeep of the roads, the food plots, and timbering for Game Land 57. He was quite a guy. I knew him during his last few years of his work and after he retired. I don't remember Brian's age, but he was probably about 13 or 14. The hike up the mountain to the first bridge was 3 miles. I know, as I had driven all the access roads on patrol. To personally hunt, we had to do the same as the general public, and rightly so. We parked the truck and grabbed our gear. Included was a hand decoy I was anxious to try. We started up the mountain using the full moonlight through the trees to make out the road. It was 3 a.m. There was a funny but true story about that little bridge. That little bridge was not much more than a car length from one end to the other, and originally made out of pretty heavy timber. I crossed it a number of times. One day we received notice that the access road would be closed for a couple weeks. It seemed a person or persons unknown needed some good, strong timber and had stolen the bridge. Through the grapevine, it was rumored that an APB, or All Points Bulletin, was issued to be on the lookout for a stolen bridge. It was replaced with a concrete one. Back to the hunt. The moon was bright, but there were many shadows. There was an occasional great horned owl hooting off in the distance, and a bit closer was the screech of a saw-whet. Kind of spooky if you had never experienced that before. The road was barely visible with all the tree shadows, but we were making good time. I had a flashlight, but didn't really see a need to use it. That was almost a poor decision. As we were walking along in the dark, all at once there was a shuffle in the leaves directly in front of me. I stopped short and snapped on the flashlight. Right at my feet were 2 adult porcupines, either fighting or entertaining themselves. One more step and I would have fallen over and on to 2 adult porcupines. We were about 1.5 miles from the truck, and the only way to get help was to hike back. Not a very desirable thing to have to do if you're covered with quills that work their way in with motion. A close call for sure. I used the flashlight to randomly scan the road from then on, and we finally arrived at the first bridge. About 100 yards to the left of the bridge was a nice opening about 75 to 100 yards across. In the middle was a huge maple tree. All around in this opening were 18-inch high maple saplings. The tree had a trunk diameter of about 3 feet. I set my hand decoy out in a space in the saplings where it would be visible in a pretty good arc of view. It was only about 4:30 a.m. or so. I told Brian to lay down and take a nap. The sun would come up in our faces and wake us up. It was a little nippy that morning. I had stuck my winter Totes roll-up hat in my pouch. I lay down and put that warm hat over my face. It was comfortable. I closed my eyes. I was almost asleep. You know, like Never Never Land. That was when I heard wings flapping. I raised my head and my Totes hat fell to the side. What did I see? I saw feet and feathers about 1 foot over my face. I startled him as much as he startled me. A rough grouse was about to land on my face. He made an abrupt exit stage left. Well, I was awake now. It was just coming into shooting time. Brian and I sat up against the tree and got our equipment positioned, and then waited a couple of minutes. It was time to make like a turkey. I did about a dozen hand slaps on the side of my thighs and slammed both hands hard on the ground. That would be a simulation of a turkey coming off the roost and landing on the ground. I hesitated about 20 or 30 seconds and started to call. I carried a lynch box and a push-button call. Two slightly different hens calling. What more could a lovesick Tom ask for? There was an answer about a half-mile away, but only one. I called randomly for a while. Back then you had to quit hunting at 11 a.m. and be out of the woods by noon. We figured we would have to leave by at least 10:30 to make it back to the truck by noon. It was starting to get close on time. I had not heard a bird for a while. All at once I saw something black moving on the ridge through the trees and brush. It looked to be coming down the old gravity railroad bed. Although it had trees up to 6 inches in diameter growing out of it, the rail bed was still visible because it was 2 or 3 feet higher in elevation than the surrounding area. Well, when it came into view, it wasn't the tom turkey I anticipated. It was a beautiful 400-pound black bear. He was nicely groomed and his fur glistened in the sun like a newly shined car. The rail bed angled past us to the right. The sun was very bright and there was no breeze. The bear just slowly walked past us and went out of sight. Now it was time to head back. It was a good walk in the crisp spring air. Well, we didn't get a turkey, but we heard 2 different types of owls. And we saw a couple porcupines and a grouse, up close and personal. We heard a turkey off in the distance. But the high point of the day was seeing that big, beautiful, shining black bear slowly walking right past us in the morning sun. No turkey, but a great day nonetheless. Well, folks, hope you forgive the background noise. This new laptop has a pretty good mic, and of course I have my overhead mic. And they're both picking up the freezer running, the refrigerator running, the propane heater coming on, and the computer fan. There's not much I can do about it. So, I hope you enjoy the story anyway, even with all the noise. As usual, I wish everyone all the best.